Today, we're going to work on something different, something lacquer. September 17th through the 24th, use code NSAB to get 10% off your order at the link above. Warning, lacquer paints are extremely dangerous. Always use a respirator and work in a well-ventilated area. Seriously guys, you should always use a respirator when airbrushing, but it's even more prevalent when using lacquer paints. Hey guys, Tom here, and this is Not So Average Builder. I normally use acrylic paints, and the same practices you kind of do with acrylic paints, you're going to do with lacquer paints. These are different from enamel paints. There's a whole lot of different range of paints out there. But lacquer paints dry really hard, really quickly. They do really good for gunpla. In the lacquer paint world, you get into ultra gloss coats. Now these were sent to me by Splash Paints. I'm not sponsored by them. I just reached out to them and they sent me some primer, which we'll show in a minute. They sent me some paint and they sent me their 2K gloss. I've never used these products before. I've never airbrushed with lacquer paints before, but I figured what the heck, I'm gonna give it a shot. It is very important, and I'm sure that you were seeing the warning. I cannot stress this enough. Make sure you wear proper ventilation or proper respiration and use proper ventilation. This stuff will destroy your insides. It's no joke. Don't even play around with it. Don't spray it in your kitchen unless you are facing a window. Guys, completely disregard that last comment. Don't use these in your kitchen. Lacquer-based paints are no joke. They will ruin your life. It's bad. Don't spray this in your kitchen, your living room, anywhere where there's a bunch of people that normally visit. Even an hour or two afterwards, it's still kind of in the air. Do it in a room that has a lot of windows, that's somewhere that you can get this stuff out. Get a fan and pull it out. If you are going to do it in a house, make sure that it gets out of your house. You don't want that in your living room. You don't want that in your kitchen, anything like that. It's going to be bad, so just be careful. Like outside almost. It's no joke. I do it in my garage and I have to crack a window along with using my spray booth and a respirator, and I can still smell it about an hour later. So do not use this in a place that you don't want this smell to be. Seriously guys, it's no joke. Don't mess around with it. Now enough of the scary business. It's actually really easy to use. Surprisingly, there was no thinning involved. There was a little bit of mixing. I'll kind of go over that in a minute, but it was pretty easy. Just make sure you're careful with it. I didn't use gloves. I didn't have gloves. I probably should have. It even recommends to use solvent-based gloves. You can get away as long as you wash your hands shortly after, but you definitely need to kind of make sure you're wearing gloves, just safety reasons. Before we get into it all though, I want to say this is as of today, and today is Sunday the 15th, I think. I don't know. I'm not really good on my days. And I just hit 600 subs. For the people who have been following my Instagram, my Facebook, the NSAB Army group, you know what that means. For you newcomers though, I set milestones. I hit 300, did a giveaway. My big one was 600. It was the goal that I didn't think I was going to reach, let alone do it in less than a year. But I did. I hit 606 this evening. I was kind of surprised, shocked, and completely amazed by that. So thank you all for being awesome. That being said, I will have a video out probably later on. This video will come out on Tuesday, and it'll probably be out later on that day doing my giveaway announcement. That will be the one you'll have to comment on. I'll give instructions on what you need to do. But for those that aren't a part of this, they definitely want to get in. I'll give you a hint. It's a $100 gift card from usagundamstore.com and a $60 gift card to TurboDork Paints. So that's a pretty big deal. I hope you're excited. But yes, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I want to see how big this will get. This is just kind of awe-inspiring. And if you have any questions about the process, don't hesitate. Drop a comment down below. I try and answer anything. shoot me an email, shoot me an Instagram message, Facebook message, whatever you need to do. I'm on there. I'll answer any questions that I can. If I don't know the answer, I'll try and find it out. Let's talk about Patreon real quick. I have two awesome individuals, Chris D and Fiddlesworth Frank. Now, Chris was nice enough to send me some slaps. So he sent me two awesome slaps. These are going on the mat. Chris, thank you so much, man. I will get yours out for you. They're not going to be as cool as these, unfortunately, but I'll get mine out to you ASAP, man. Thank you again. These are going to go on the mat. If you'd like to become a Patreon to the channel, go to patreon.com/NotSoAverageBuilder. There's plenty of different tiers to try. They are monthly. And if you hold select tiers, and they're in the description of those tiers, for 6 months to a year, depending on which one, I will personally build and paint and weather a kit, a Gunpla, Warhammer set, whatever, for you. So those are kickbacks to you. But I've rambled on enough. Let's jump right into this. Alright, so you see the respirator. On this particular primer, it's a 4:1 ratio. You always mix it up. I kind of didn't show this, but I did use the stuff in there. Use the milliliter settings. And you're just going to do a light misty coat. If you have any questions about the mixing process on this, just let me know. I've got a couple of cups, or a set of cups that I got from Hobbytown USA many years ago that they've got milliliters on them, and I kind of just go from there as far as that goes. But you're going to build this up in light misty coats. So we're on the second coat already, kind of speeding this through. This is like 1.75 times, but you want to build it up in layers. You don't want to just slap it on there, otherwise you're going to end up getting runs and drips and nasty looking stuff. It also recommends for this particular primer, it says to apply over 1,000 grit. I didn't do this just to see how well it would hold up, and it seems to stick pretty well. I did wash the parts beforehand just to make sure there was nothing on there. But you can see it's going down smooth. I didn't sand in between, and I was told by splash paints that it's kind of a general rule of thumb after you lay your primer to sand it to give the paint a good adhesion. I did not do this, and it seems to be that my paint did really well. I don't know whether it's because I did it in such light misty coats or not, but it held on there really well. So if you find yourself running a situation where it doesn't seem to want to grasp the primer very well, just sand it. Just do like start with like an 800 grit, very lightly sand, and then work your way up to the 1200 grit maybe. I wouldn't go any higher than that. I'd probably actually stop at 1,000 to be quite honest. But that's it. Now the primer and the clear coat, you have to have a mixing agent, and it does come with that when you order it. But the paint layer does not. You can kind of see I'm still just kind of going through here, getting everything ready to go. I apologize too for the shaky camera. My camera mount apparently does not like my spray booth. And as far as cleaning out lacquer paints, you simply use just lacquer thinner. I was told by Splash Paints also just to use just some stuff from Home Depot or Lowe's. Now we're on to the paint layer. It's that simple. Pretty much repeat the process that you did with the primer as you do with the color coat. Now I know that these parts look kind of weird with the blue lining on there. I appreciate it, and I'll do a video next week on that. But I used that particular color blue because if you look on the color wheel, orange and blue are opposite each other, so they're the contrast and the highlight. So I figured that would be a good baseline, and this is one of those things, learning a little artistic nature kind of helps you out in this, because if I'd have used a black or a deep blue, it may not have turned out so well. So the dark blue, the royal blue, is exactly what I used, and it turned out really well. But yeah, I'm going to make you watch all this. It may not be exactly in order. I kind of swapped around to different things, but definitely go in light misty coats. So the way the first one works is a light misty coat. The second one's kind of semi-wet, and the third one's a full wet. Now on that third and final coat, it is difficult because you can easily rock that trigger back too far and cause a run or something along those lines, and I promise you, you will not have a good time. But that's simple. All the primer, the paint, and the clear coat were all pretty much the same style. Light misty coat, your medium wet coat, and then your final wet coat. And you can see this is after the paint has had about 10 minutes to dry or so. And because you've not mixed anything, you can pour it right back in the bottle. And that saves a lot of hassle, so you don't have to worry about it. And they are pre-thinned, so you don't have to mix any solutions to thin them down. They're boom, ready to go right out of the pot. Now we're on to the gloss coat, and this is their 2K Ultra. I kind of go into more detail on this. So I think I did 10 milliliters. Five milliliters of the clear, and I did 0.5 milliliters of the hardener. And you can see here, just kind of go through, make it a little wet, just a light misty coat, just something to kind of give it some bite. The next layer is you got to do your key coat, and then you just keep building it up. Your second layer again is the same thing. You want to make sure that it's kind of a semi-wet coat so it'll have something to hold on to. And then your third and final coat will be your heavier coat. And again, it is very important. You want to flash these off about 5 minutes in a dust-free zone in between. Now, I will have to say the one that lasted the longest as far as going the distance was the clear coat. The problem with the clear coat though is because you mix the hardener into it, after so long, it's useless. So you can't just pour it back in the bottle. That was a problem. So I ended up wasting a bunch of it, which was kind of a letdown. It is super simple. Don't sweat it. If you don't have an airbrush, you can brush paint these. They don't do as well because they need to be in thinner coats, but you can kind of get the idea. I would highly recommend leaving brush painting to acrylics, and I would leave airbrushing to a combination of acrylics and your lacquer-based paints. Now, as far as when to use lacquer-based paints, there's really no specific time to use them, just whenever you want to. Now, because they dry harder, they would probably do a lot better than acrylics would in a place where they could potentially rub together. That'll keep them from kind of damaging themselves and coming off. The reason why I'm doing this, I'm going to end up matte coating this, and I don't have a lacquer-based matte coat. I'm going to let this dry. I do have to do decals, so I'm going to put the decals on that, and decals do really good over a smooth surface. But you see how much stuff I had left over. It's kind of problematic. But that is it, guys. It is super simple to use lacquers. It does take a little more precaution, but it is super easy to use. So remember, what is the slogan? What is the slogan? Eduardo reminded me last time that I did not put it in here. Don't just be an average builder. Be a not so average one. Push yourself. Try new things. That's all I got, guys. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye. Not So Average Builder is sponsored by USAGundamStore.com, bringing the hobby to your front door. Use promo code NOTSOAVERAGE and get 10% off your next order.